The people that we are and the people that we think we are not necessarily the same thing. I've always had this fascination about coming to an understanding of oneself as connecting the dots. Dot standing for definition of the self. I've come to realize that very often the person that we think we are doesn't necessarily jibe with the actual person that we are. And we can be so sure that we know ourselves so completely, and yet sometimes the person that we think we are isn't exactly the person that we are in reality. A good example of this is when I was promoted in my day job to a management position. I never thought that management was something I was ever going to be capable of doing. But after getting the position and getting training on it, I began to realize that management was something I was capable of. One thing I've come to realize about this definition of the self is that we often believe that once we make a change in our life, that our internal wiring, our mental idea of ourself, our definition will automatically change to match our new reality. But I've discovered that isn't always the case. The deeply ingrained mental wiring we have in our definition of the self that sometimes we've spent decades designing and reinforcing can be so built into the way that we view ourselves that reality doesn't have an awful lot to do with it. In fact, we can make changes to ourselves and it not even register to us mentally. I can tell you from personal experience, there are changes that I've made to my life that apparently are blatantly obvious to everyone around me. But if I didn't quantify it numerically, I wouldn't be able to see it at all. I understand mentally that I've made changes, but no matter how hard I try, I can't make myself see it. At least not yet. It can feel strange talking about the idea of having faith in something that's basically an empirical fact, but while you're trying to rewire this definition of the self that you have to incorporate changes that you've made in your life, sometimes you have to go on faith. Because very often that rewiring isn't going to happen overnight, and sometimes you even need help to do it. But we keep going forward in faith if we have to, because there's nothing worse than beating yourself up because there's something you believe you should be doing but somehow can't manage to, while the entire time in reality you were doing it. You just didn't believe it and couldn't see it.